Good afternoon, everyone. It is a privilege to have you join us this afternoon. The Laventil SDA Skills Camp presents natural remedies, first aid kit, and medicinal plants. Now, this is a huge topic, and we could not have anyone better to share on this topic than Mr. Natalie Nash. But before we get into things, let's just bow our heads for prayer. Dear Father and God, you are awesome. You are worthy of all the praise, of all the honor, of all the glory that is due to your matchless name. You created us, and so you have the owner's manual and you shared it with us so that we know that all that you've given us is for our good. Forgive us, Lord, for moving away from your ideal. But thank you for this opportunity yet again to learn of you in very tangible ways. Bless all the proceedings that occur this evening, and may your name be glorified. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
So, the word for today comes from Ezekiel chapter 47 and verse 12. Now, there are very many verses that I could have chosen, and you know them. But I particularly wanted this one, and it reads, "And by the river upon the bank thereof, on this side and on that side, shall grow all trees for meat, whose leaf shall not fade, neither shall the fruit thereof be consumed. It shall bring forth new fruit according to his months, because their waters they issued out of the sanctuary, and the fruit thereof shall be for meat, and the leaf thereof for medicine." We hope, it is our greatest desire, it is our greatest longing as members of this remnant body to be a part of this experience described here in Ezekiel chapter 47. For those who are not yet a part of the community of faith of Seventh-day Adventists, it is an awesome journey, and I invite you to join us. And in fact, at this point in time, because we would like to recognize all of the persons that are present on the stream at the moment, I invite you, please, to rename where necessary your title. So please put in your name. So we have persons who would be carrying the name of their phones, their different devices. Please insert your names so that we can adequately refer to you. This afternoon, it is our pleasure to have Sister Natalie Nash share her expertise with us. She is an international medical missionary, health educator, lifestyle coach, author. She's the director of her own program, and she has been in medical missionary business, this work of service to others for over 10 years. Her presentations integrate the teachings of the Bible, inspiration, and good science to deliver a message of healing that is by far the most advanced and balanced in the teaching of health reform. She has taken this health message to many countries across the globe. And she adopts several different strategies, whether it is one-on-one consult or health lectures or medical missionary training. Sister Natalie has transformed the lives of thousands, including my own, in health and healing, and leading each one of us to a restored and renewed life. As your moderator today, I am your humble servant, Dr. Celeste Henry Buckmeyer. I am a disability researcher by training, but I've also been exposed to a higher degree in health promotion, health education. I love people and I love Jesus. And so we are looking for opportunities where we can, within the Laventil SDA Skills Camp, be a blessing to each one of you.
Okay. All right. So I am so happy to be here this evening to share with you this interesting topic on natural remedies for first aid. And everyone likes to have a first aid box in their home, a cabinet, a drawer, somewhere where the family knows this is the place where we can immediately go to in the event of some emergency. And so that's what we're looking at this evening, a little dimension, a bit different from the conventional as to what do you put into that first aid kit. What are some of the agents that are available to us so that we can utilize and get some quick relief? If you have a pain, what can we do other than taking a Panadol? You know, so there are, you may have your own experiences with trial and error, or you may remember something that your mother used to do, your grandparents used to do for you. That works, and that helps. You know, you can get a bump on your head and you may put some soft candle and like a 5 cents. How about, let me see the hands of all those who know about putting that 5 cents on your forehead when it's bumped, and then you put a cloth, and yeah, just chat in the mute and tell me, yes, you know what I'm talking about. And then you take like a ribbon or a band or something and you press down on that bump, and
yes, sure.
Hours, yeah,
Yeah.
it goes.
Yes.
Okay. So the other day I did it and my husband was looking at me, what is that about? Not on me, but my nephew. And interestingly, you know, copper in there, something that it works. So that you can add to what we're doing here this evening. So I'd just like to say a word of prayer before we get into the presentation, and I'll be sharing my screen with you so that you can see the information as we discuss it. Heavenly Father, we want to thank you so much for coming together at this time. We pray for your Holy Spirit's intervention so that all the technicalities will be removed, and that our session is one that will be meaningful to the lives that we are engaging right now. Be with me as I present, and hide me behind your cross, and take full control is our prayer in Jesus' name, amen. Okay, so I am going to attempt to share my screen. And there it is, share. If you are seeing the screen, then let me know. Yes? Let me put this down. Okay. So natural remedies first aid kit, and we're going to talk about a couple of them, such as if you get bite, burn, colds, or flu, fatigue, what you can use to be alert, infections, cuts, scrapes, nausea, indigestion, diarrhea, sprains, toothache, just to name a few. And a little disclaimer here, that information provided is not meant to diagnose, claim, or prevent or cure any of the conditions that we'll be talking about. Say you have a burn, you have a sprain. However, I'd let you know that it has worked for folks, and I do have some experiences that I'll share with you. And if you do have any disease or ailments, it's always good to consult your physician. Be cautious if you're pregnant, and it's an emergency. It's your first response. And however, seek medical advice for treatment and for other services. So,
okay, Sister Natalie,
yes.
Sorry to interject. Just to have our guests be reminded, please mute your mics. This session is going to be going up on YouTube thereafter, so that in terms of the post-production, we're trying to minimize as many distractions as possible. And additionally, Sister Natalie, I know that we spoke to the fact that this is a short session, and so we may not necessarily be addressing disease conditions and the right approach in terms of medicines, that is medicinal plants. We were booked for a second session, yes? So if perhaps you can speak to that as well.
Yes, of course. So in our picture here, you would see some essential oils. And basically, when we think about medicinal plants, we may have the plants or we may not have them. So how do we have access to it? One, you can go to the herb shop and buy a packet of, say, peppermint leaves, and that may last you a while. But however, what I'd like for us to have within our first aid kit is more of the essential oils. So essential oils are those which are in a concentrated form. Eucalyptus, peppermint, it's in a concentrated form. The medicinal values have been extracted through an oil medium, and it's bottled in these nice little bottles that can last a very long time. And so if you do get a good quality of essential oils, and we have them within our medicine kit, first aid kit rather, then it's going to be helpful. And there are not many of them. So we're looking at this evening at peppermint, eucalyptus, clove oil, tea tree oil, oregano oil, lavender oil, and olive oil, which you would have within your home in your kitchen cabinets. So other than that, olive oil, it's essentially about 6 different types of oils. There are many other types of oils that you can have, but these are some simple basic ones, which we would encourage you to acquire, and we would show you how you can use these repeatedly in different scenarios in order to get some good results. And then we have some powder. So we have like comfrey powder, cayenne pepper powder, golden seal powder, and charcoal, activated charcoal powder. And these will be mixed and utilized. In our kit, we will also have the usual kinds of band-aids, gauze in the roll form, or the pads, a thermometer for checking the temperatures, little scissors, tweezers, safety pins, a triangular bandage, gloves, so adhesive tape, these common things that you can get. And we have a handout which would be shared with everyone. So these items are listed there, and you may have a few others that you would like to add to your kit. So these oils and the powders and so forth can be prepared in different forms. You may get them in the form of creams. We have the oils. We will show and talk about how to make some poultices. This evening, I'm not talking about how to make ointments or salves, but there we would talk about compresses and where you have to make certain herbs in the form of a tea and then apply that to a fabric and cover an area to be utilized as a compress. So some of these oils can be applied directly, as well as some of them would need to be mixed. And by and large, like peppermint, you may put that directly into some water and do an inhaler, as we would talk about. We find let me see, even the peppermint, some folks may be able to tolerate it lightly on the skin, but essentially the oils need to be mixed with what we call a carrier oil. That's why we have the olive oil here. So you don't put it directly on because it can cause blisters. So eucalyptus, you may mix that with the olive oil, and we would go through and explain the various ones and how to mix them. Some can be added to water or to juice if it is that you're ingesting it, or some folks would add it to their food simply to ingest for a particular condition. So when the powders, as we mentioned, they would be mixed either simply in water, or if you have, just to make it a little bit more pasty, we would add like flaxseed that's been blended and into a powdered form. And that would help to mix with the powder and some water to make a paste or a poultice, as we will describe. So let's look at the first one. So acid reflux. Acid reflux is a condition that affects a number of individuals. Some people don't think they have acid reflux until they go to the physician for this burning sensation in their stomach, right above the abdomen area. And the doctor says, well, we've checked you out and nothing is wrong with your pancreas, nothing is wrong with your liver, everything is looking great. And but what we have come up with is that you do have indigestion. And some folks refuse to believe that indigestion can give them that tremendous amount of pain and discomfort. But it is real. And there are individuals who are living with acid reflux for quite a long while. So what do you do? Well, there are some lifestyle changes that you would need to observe, such as don't eat and drink at the same time, don't drink too close to your meal, don't eat and then go lay down. It's a digestive situation, so it has to do with your food. And then because of the discomfort, because of the bloating, because of the pain, you find that people are afraid to eat, and that's a problem. So what can you do in a quick form for an acid reflux situation to get some form of immediate relief? But as mentioned by Dr. Buckmeyer, is that to go deeper into these disease conditions or health challenges would require a bit more time, which we're not looking at today. But if you were to utilize this when your stomach is burning, heartburn, acid reflux, indigestion, and you have that pain, then here's what you can do. You can use olive oil. So if you simply just turn over the bottle and 2 tablespoons of olive oil, put it to your mouth and you take it in. And that's it. And some of you may be thinking, that's all? Yes, that's it. And it would help to quell that burning sensation. So it's an immediate relief. It's not going to be healing the situation because of poor habits. You know, you have a stomach that is now probably exposed to the acids that is within there, but you can use the olive oil with some good success.
You want to follow the program?
Yes. So can you everyone mute their phones as you come in? Please just check to make sure that your phone or your devices is on mute. And we will take some questions towards the end. So please have your paper handy and that you can write your questions, which we will take. So I remember some time ago where my mom, she was away from me. And when she came back, she complained about having some burning in her chest. And, you know, she'd carry along and not complain or talk about it every day. So you'd forget. And then sometime, you know, I saw her laying down and she's just like this burning. And then she called for me and she said, I'm dying slowly but surely. So I looked at her and, you know, sometimes my mom, she could kind of make these exclamations and I'm like, really, what is happening? So then she described this immense pain she was having in her chest. So I remember she did visit the doctor when she was at my sister and I asked her, what did the doctor say? Oh, they didn't find anything. I was like, okay, so did they say anything? Yeah, they only said it was indigestion. I said, okay, well, let's work on the basis of indigestion. And if you don't get relieved, then I will take you to the doctor within the week coming and see what's going on with you. So I'm thinking some internal organ is probably messed up. And so she has this pain. So I quickly got down to my kitchen and I got the olive oil and a spoon and I took it up to her. I said, okay, just take this. And I mean, she was like laying down flat and with, you know, she could barely move. And as I attempted to give her the olive oil, so she took it. And then I gave her like a little 1 ounce of warm water because just thinking the oil taste might be a bit weird. And I said, okay, just drink this. And I said, okay. And I left her and went simply to wash up the glass and put down the olive oil bottle. And while I was doing that, I heard her talking. So she was on the phone talking to one of my other sisters. And I just like passed by her room and went to my room. And there I was sitting doing some work. And I'm hearing her voice loud. And there's laughter coming from her room. And in my mind, what's going on there? I mean, a few minutes ago, short minutes ago, she was like no energy, low, barely able to do anything, furthermore speak. And now there's like so much vibrancy. And then I overheard her, I heard my name mentioned. So I sort of like perked up to listen. And she was explaining to my sister how she was feeling and that I gave her the olive oil and it worked like magic and she just feels totally renewed and better. So I just looked up and say, thank you, Lord, you know, that it helped her. And then the next day I counseled on what are the do's and don'ts and so forth. So she hasn't had that problem. But just to share with you that it has such immediate relief. And then the charcoal. So you may have heard about charcoal powder, activated charcoal. You don't take bread and burn it to make charcoal. I say that because some folks have approached me on that. Charcoal usually comes from some wood. You may see the charcoals being sold, but this is pulverized or broken down into powder form. So some good wood, healthy wood, or coconut shells as well can be used to make charcoal. So 1 to 2 tablespoons of charcoal. So we put 2 depending on the severity of the burning, and you add that to some water and then you ingest it. And then another remedy, this one I really like also, is aloes. If you have aloes in your yard, and you have this acid reflux situation, somebody comes to you and their chest is burning, you can take that aloes, cut off a leaf. and then you strip the green portion out and you want the gel part on the inside. You're taking 1 inch of the inner gel of the aloes to 1 ounce of water, just a little water, and you blend that and it becomes slimy of a mixture, and allow that person to drink it and then have their meal afterward, like about 30 minutes after, let them eat. And they would see that now as they eat their food, there is no burning sensation and they're able to eat their meal comfortably and move forward. So the olive oil helps with healing the stomach. The aloes helps with healing of the stomach as well. So another emergency situation is an ant bite or a bee sting. So if there's an ant bite or bee sting, then you can simply take some charcoal, mix with a little water, and or spit, whatever you have, and just put it on the area, and quickly that burning, itchy kind of sensation quells down. Bee stings, I remembered about three years ago, one of our missionaries that live in the countryside, Rio Claro, shared with us that someone of his friend, a church member, got into difficulty while he was working in the bushes with bees, and the bees stung him. A lot of bees just crowned him up and stung him. So the missionary quickly got charcoal and gave it to him, drink this. And then they ran him to the emergency room. When he got to the emergency room, he was coherent, everything was up and alert, and granted that the amount of bees that stung him, he should not have been like that, but the charcoal helped. Ingesting it in some water helped. And so the doctors and they, when they said, stick out your tongue, it was all black, and they were like, what's happening here? And they were a bit irritated as to what did you ingest before coming to us? But that helped to save his life, because 1 week later, someone else within the area got attacked by bees, and that person did not get the help, and that person died. So with these things, having charcoal on hand is one item that you need. So you need a lot of charcoal, okay? Not just a little ounce or two. So you can mix it simply with water, or whenever you see us talking about poultice in these presentations, it's if you can also add flaxseed, the powdered form of the flaxseed, and when that mixes with water, it sort of becomes pasty. And if you're putting on poultices, put it on thick rather than just smearing, so you layer it on thick. You can also add tea tree oil to it. Interestingly, I have baking powder, baking soda. Because of the alkaline levels within baking powder and baking soda, that helps to quell itching again on the skin. So the other day, my nephew said, Auntie, right here is itching me, on his foot, one of his foot. And I said, okay, how do you want it? You want black or you want white? And so he said he want white. I'm getting a feedback. Somebody has their mic unmuted. So he said he wanted white, and I said, okay. So I just took some baking powder and mixed it in a little water and put it on. I said, how does that feel? Good. Sometimes you're walking and he passes through some grass, and then he's like, the legs are itching. I'm like, okay, just take some spit. And he would spit out. And the other day we were with another nephew of mine, and the same thing happened to that nephew. I said, take some spit. He's licking his hand. And so the one who's accustomed with me said, no, boy, you have to really and bring it out. Bring out the saliva, and then just put that on the itching part, and it helps to just quell that itch. So these are little things that can help. What about if you have a boil? Some boil under the skin that just wouldn't go away, a pimple, or somewhere on the skin, and there's something underneath, and it just wouldn't go away. try using some charcoal poultice. So in this one, you mix with the ground flaxseed, and so it's a bit pasty, and then you put it like a zip right on the boil, and then you take a Band-Aid and you cover it on, and you keep it on for long hours, like overnight. If you don't have a Band-Aid, you simply take a Scotch tape with a little tissue paper and you make your own Band-Aid. Okay, and that helps to just dry it down. Charcoal will just lower that boil, make it come down nicely. What about burns? So this is quite common. In the kitchen, you can get this steam that can burn. One of the things with burns is that by the time you're feeling that burn, we're suggesting here that you run some water, cold water, straight from the tap would do fine, over that burn area, and you hold it there for an extensive period of time. Not just quick, you know, throw some water and it can move away, because that steam has gotten into the tissue, the burn into the tissue, and it can just continue to be burning in that tissue. So that's why we keep it under some water for a good while. If you have lavender, you can put some lavender drops on that. Aloe vera gel can also help, or that same aloe plant that you have, you take the gel portion and you just rub it over. Honey can also help. Putting some charcoal, some comfrey powder, or even potatoes. So you can grate potato quickly and then just put that potato over the burn area. That also helps to be able to, that you don't get the scarring once you put like the aloes or the potatoes over that. So cayenne powder. It's also another one that you can have within this medicine cabinet. So there are some painful joints, or if you have painful joints or muscles, then you know you want something hot to rub over it to quell that pain. And so you can use cayenne. If you mix that with olive oil, then that can help to quell the pain in the joints or wherever you have this arthritic pain. You also have you have the cayenne pepper. It would also help to increase circulation, blood flow. So that's why it's so effective with the arthritis, because you're bringing fresh blood to that area that brings nutrients and also helps to remove inflammation from the area that is pain. Then another thing is that if individuals who have like cold feet, if you're in the winter and your feet is like frozen cold, you can sprinkle some cayenne powder within your shoe or within the gloves, and you put your hand in there. It tends to again increase circulation and to warm up your feet and your hands. Toothache, we will talk about it. Simply put cayenne on a gauze or on some cotton and bite into that. Cold or flu. We have here where you are, just a second. Let me see if I close this window, it helps. All right, so we have cayenne that's utilized if you have a cold or a flu, and that's coming up in another session. There's just one caution that with cayenne. Cayenne should be used as a medicinal element. Okay, so it's a medicinal, it has medicinal values, and we want to use it for that and that alone, and not cooking with cayenne pepper. There are folks who would say cook with cayenne pepper to improve the circulation in your blood. In fact, when you cook, it becomes more an irritant to your digestive tract than helping. How about let's sprinkle some cayenne on our food? Are you doing that on a regular basis to thin your blood? My question is, why is your blood thick? What it is that you're not doing or should be doing or consuming or not consuming to be able to have thinner blood. Garlic can help to thin your blood without the kind of long-term effect that cayenne has. Notice that cayenne with excessive use, long-term use, repeatedly can affect your kidneys. It can also cause pleurisy, which is just between your lungs and the wall of your chest, to become inflamed. Also gastroenteritis. So we just talk about the acid heartburn kind of situation, and so cayenne powder would help, cause that kind of thing. So when so utilize it as a medicinal value. Charcoal. So you've heard us talk so much about charcoal, and charcoal, every home should have charcoal in it because it's useful for many things. And here we simply have a few of the items listed. But from a sore throat, an earache, a toothache, irritated eyes, sometimes you feel like something is in your eye, but you're not sure what it is. You're looking in the mirror and you can't see anything, and you're rubbing because something is irritating you, and now you're irritating it further. Stop. How about now, take a little cup, sprinkle just a pinch of charcoal powder in there with some water, and you shake it up, and then you just leave it for about a minute or two, let it settle, and then you carefully hold that to your eye, and you bring it up, and you try just, barely open your eyes so that you get the charcoal water in, and that helps to just soothe and that irritated eye. If your eyes are inflamed or they feel burning, they feel tired because of some activity, exposure to wind. I know sometimes I'm driving and I have my AC on and it's just hitting my eye, and then my eye gets red. Just to calm it down, utilizing the charcoal in water can help that tremendously. We also see for removing toxins and poisons and even drug poisoning and food poisoning, charcoal can be used. So folks who have food poisoning, you eat something and you start to vomit, you're cold sweating, your head hurts, take some charcoal really quickly. It's going to help to stop all that. And take a good dose. So I think I have it coming up where you're utilizing like the white teaspoons, 3 of those into 1 glass of water, and you drink that charcoal, and it's going to help to arrest the poisoning in the system. What charcoal does is that it adsorbs, ADSORB, and so it takes up poisons and toxins and removes it out of the system. And so it's like a magnet, just pulling up stuff. And that's why it's so great for use. When it comes to snake bites, I know I've had people right here in Trinidad who work in the countryside and have been bitten by a snake. One lady told me too that she's been bitten by a snake while on her knees praying, and she took charcoal and it helped her, and survived and lived to tell the story. So I would suggest you go to the medical facility still, but if you do use the charcoal, you make a poultice and on wherever you have the irritation, the sting or the bite. So here's how you make a charcoal poultice. This is very important. So you have the charcoal powder, enough to cover the area. Now, one of the rule is when you use charcoal, use a plastic or a wooden spoon, utensil, or glass, ceramic. Never use metal or, no metal spoon, metal bowl, or any of the like, because you will deactivate it. It's actually infused, that's why I call activated charcoal. It's infused with oxygen. So we want to maintain that. And so a charcoal powder, you have enough to cover an area. And then you say, okay, I want to make this poultice. So you add some water slowly. You add also some ground flax seed into it. And then you start turning slowly, and you keep adding little water to be able to get it into a gel-like form, like a paste. And then you paste that on liberally, just plaster it on to wherever you need the help. And then you put a plastic over it to maintain it. You can also use gauze or some paper towel as well over that. And then you wrap it in place and pin it, just to keep it covered. So when it comes to making a charcoal drink, for adults, we want 1 to 2 tablespoons of charcoal in 1 cup of water. And then you stir and drink that. And when we say 1 to 2 tablespoons of the charcoal, it's dependent on the severity of the situation you're trying to address, that you would need more charcoal. You just simply put it in water, nothing else to add any drink. For children, they would need like 1/2 to 1 tablespoon of charcoal to a cup of water. Comfrey. This is one of my really special items, comfrey, that I love. It's great for a number of situations, varicose veins, and in these things you can use it either as a poultice or a compress, where you're making a tea with it, and you soak a fabric in that tea, like a rag or so, and then you rest it on an area. Now, here is the thing with comfrey. Comfrey, it's like a binder for especially bones and tissues. And comfrey, another name, they call it like knit, bone knit. So if you have someone with a broken bone, with a sprain, a fracture or sore, they can utilize comfrey and be able to get healing in that area, even if it is an old injury. So we've had where if somebody breaks a bone, and you have an opportunity to work with them, maybe they have a cast and maybe they've taken it off, and maybe it is that they feel that weak spot still. You can use comfrey to help to strengthen that bone area. It's used a lot of times in sprains or torn tendons and so forth. As long as you're able to apply it to the tissue above, it will penetrate and get to do its work. I've had a sprain, and other people I've worked with who had a sprain. Let me tell you, like this gentleman, he was playing football and injured his knee. And his aunt called me and she asked, what can we do for him? He's now had like about 6 months going to the doctor for help, and nothing helps. And so now he is kind of concerned about, his future and with his knee. So I said, okay, well, let's make some comfrey. So the aunt described that the area around the knee, it would be swollen and that sort of thing. I said, okay, sounds like there's some inflammation going on there. I said, so here's what we do. We take comfrey, we take turmeric for reducing inflammation. And then let's take the flaxseed that helps as a binder, but flaxseed also has some nice healing properties. And as we mix that in some water and let him put that on every night and wrap it with some plastic to maintain the moisture. and then he would be able to, you know, then you put a band on over it, hold it in place, and sleep with it through the night. The gentleman did that, and I also had him to drink some turmeric as well, just clear up inflammation from within. And it was, so he had this injury for 6 months, and now in less than 3 months, he was recovered fully. You know, when he visited the physician, his doctor was like, wow, you're recovering and you know, remarkably well. You'd be able to make it to the next football season. And so they were quite happy to see, you know, his condition is so drastically improved. So so just apply it to the area that's hurt, and get the comfrey. You may get it like in the leaves. You run it in your blender or food processor to break it down smaller so that you're able to control it. But if it's the leaves, you work with it, add the flaxseed and so forth. You can also add turmeric if the area is inflamed, as well as the charcoal. And that's how the thing works. Now, what about if you have an open area that you want to get that healing for? Here is where we use the liquid. So you would boil the comfrey leaf. Sorry, it's a leaf, so you draw it. You draw it for 40 minutes, and then you get its tea. You strain it, and you soak the rag or the fabric in, and you rest that over the particular area, and it just helps to heal the area. So here we covered the sprain, and it's first with a sprain you ice it for the first 24 to 48 hours, and then afterward you would be able to utilize hot and cold. So hot and cold tend to bring fresh blood to areas, again helping to relieve pain, helping to reduce that swelling. You repeat this 3 minutes of hot. If you're diabetic, use warm, and 30 seconds of cold. And this is like ice cubes in that water, making it ice cold. And so then when you do that about 7 times of it, here is where I like now to add the comfrey to that. So you bring fresh blood to the tissue, bring healing to that area, and then you add your comfrey poultice, and it will work tremendously well. And in a short space of time, like when I had my sprain, I wasn't even thinking about comfrey until it was like some months later. I was like, but wait a minute, I haven't even used comfrey. And so I did it, and within the first week, I knew where my line of injury was, and so I'd put the comfrey there. And within the first week, every morning, so I keep it on through the night, and then in the morning I remove it, and every morning as I step on my foot, I feel it really sore, but it was all part of the healing process. And so that helped. You know, within 2 weeks' time, it was better, and I kept using it a little while, and then it just got better, and I was able to test a little run, and I knew that it was better because I could not have done that before without getting pain. So we have a lot of people on the line, lots of folks who are in the studying mode. So what do you do for concentration? So here you have the oils now. So the peppermint rosemary oil is also helpful. That's not on your list, but if you want to get that, it's also great for adding to your hair wash and keeping those grays teamed. So peppermint, and it's good to inhale for concentration, as well as rosemary. So just put it on your clothing and inhale it. Or other things to do for concentration: fresh air. that's not in your medicine kit, but it's all around you. So inhale deeply fresh air. And then you take a brisk walk for about 20 minutes, get your movement alertness, breathe deeply, that can help, and reading with greenery around you, grassy area, that can help with concentration. So congestion, where you feel like your head is congested, or from the flu and so forth, what do? So again, eucalyptus oil or peppermint oil. Here you get, this is like an old one, and you probably have done this already, where you get a bowl with some hot water, and you put drops of eucalyptus oil, drops of peppermint oil in there, and you take a towel, bend over, and cover your head and the bowl so that you're inhaling the steam. You do this for about 10 minutes, not longer, because you don't want your brain to get too hot. And but you inhale it deeply over this steam, and that would help. You can also add the olive oil with peppermint and just rub the chest area to help with congestion, the chest and the back. Constipation. So here we have where individuals are constipated for quite a long time, more than a day. It's like a week or 2 weeks. What do? That can be a very uncomfortable situation, and we found that olive oil can help. If you were to utilize warm water and olive oil. So here's what you do. You take olive oil, take 2 tablespoons on an empty stomach, and then you try to drink some warm water. It's like you take the kettle hot water and you add, and you get that warm. It's very warm. You can feel it going down your chest, and you aim to get like 2 to 4 glasses of that warm water. What will it do? The warm tends to add lubrication. Dry stools could be hard. So let's lubricate them, rehydrate them with the water. And then you take the olive oil now that you've ingested, tends to make the passageway smooth, avoid that hard stool scraping against the walls of your colon that can cause you to see that you pass some blood. So the olive oil is going to help sort of coat along the sides and bring that stool out. So you drink that and have the person do some brisk walking on the spot or back and forth, brisk walking. That movement of the bowels can help to drive things down. Lemon juice is another thing that helps to stimulate the colon and create peristalsis. So apples, bananas, pawpaw, mango, blackstrap molasses, those things tend to loosen up stool. If folks have constipation as a continuous basis, so sometimes it's because you eat something that the old folks would call that it cork you. So you eat something that tends to cause constipation. Bread, flour can do that. Sugar can do that. So if they were to eat nice, healthy fruits, vegetables, raw fish, fiber in the diet, then you'll have less constipation taking place. And chronic dry coughing. Here we want to be able to take, one of my favorites is oregano oil. So you're looking for food grade of oregano oil that can be ingested for a chronic or a dry persistent cough. You may have had the flu, but you remain with this dry persistent cough, or you have a chronic cough for a long period of time. So you can utilize the oregano oil. Simply take a glass of water and a food grade oregano oil. You put some drops into there, like about 3 or 4 drops, but then you look to drink that. Be careful that you don't let the oil touch your lips because it will blister you. It will blister your lips. You would put it to your mouth and drink it down quickly to the back of your throat, quick. And I say quick because it's very hot, burning hot. And as you ingest that, then it would help to stop your cough almost immediately. And that works phenomenally well. And I also have had this other remedy here with honey and eucalyptus oil. So you find that you can take 1 cup of honey, a boiled honey, so it's warm. When it's warm, you add some drops of eucalyptus oil. And this remedy is found in Second Selected Messages, I believe is page 301, where it's what I call a divine inspired remedy that works for coughs. And you're making like your own cough syrup, and it works. So you're taking honey and you're adding eucalyptus oil to it. It's a food grade eucalyptus oil, so you're looking for a good brand. And you just mix that well, and you take as often as you need, and it helps to quell that cough. I had a neighbor, she had a chronic cough. It was for 2 months, been to the casualties in the hospital several times, nothing they could find. And until I heard her with this rattling, heavy cough, what's going on? She explained to me nothing they tried worked. And I went to my home and made this honey with eucalyptus, and I brought it over and I said, here, use this. She reported the next day that she slept through the night, which she had not done for months. And, you know, it has worked for so many other folks. There are times I want to caution too, that sometimes individuals may have a chronic cough and it is due to an allergy. So some allergic reaction that's causing this coughing. If it is, you find that these things would not help, but utilizing some antihistamine will help. So what within the herbal realm is an antihistamine? You have moringa, and that's all around, and folks do have that. Nettle is also another one, and peppermint. So again, well, the peppermint oil can come here if you have a food grade one in your water, or simply using peppermint tea. And that will just quell everything down. I had a lady recently, and for months, she told me, it's about 6 months now since Christmas, and she just had, what are you doing? Dairy? No. She said, I'm off everything. You're off flour? Yeah, everything. I said, okay. So I tried the oregano oil. I said, give this two days, you know, let's see. It didn't work. Not a budge, no nothing. I gave her some mullein. I said, try this. It didn't work. Not a budge, nothing. I said, okay. Then it's allergies. So I gave her some peppermint, and I said, you have moringa by you? Yeah, she got. And she just started drinking that. And it went away within a week. You know, she was clear, slept through within 2 nights. She was clear. Because it would usually rise, the coughing in the night, a persistent cough. And you know, she's doing phenomenally well today. So these are some of the things that can be utilized. So I'm looking at my clock, and I've spoken for the last 45 minutes. So I think we'll stop here and take some questions, and the handout would be available that has these notes in it and some more. It's actually 5 pages, so there are more conditions and giving some information as to what you can utilize to help.
Okay, thank you so much, Sister Natalie. Rich information that you're sharing here thus far. Comfrey and turmeric and flaxseed, excellent for the pain. In the joints and so on. I love the idea of the rosemary oil to add to your hair wash. Fantastic, fantastic. And of course, to be able to recognize when it is an allergy that you're trying to, that you're facing, that you're dealing with, and to find the appropriate tools to use. But I have 3 questions, and this is just to start off our guests. So please place your questions in the chat. You mentioned at the start of your presentation that you will use baking soda or powder externally to reduce the irritation from bites.
Yes.
But that's externally. So can we use it internally? There, you know, there's a place in my heart for those things in bread. So that's one. Yes, in bread. And in some cakes and cookies, they talk about using baking soda. That's my first question. Two, can we grow comfrey here in Trinidad and Tobago? And thirdly, especially based on your response to that one, what are your recommendations for making your own oils? You know, whether it be comfrey oil or rosemary oil, if it is you growing your own herbs.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
yeah.
Good. So first question on baking powder, baking soda. Those items we're told in Councils on Diets and Foods that it should not be utilized in our food. In fact, it tells us that it can increase inflammation in the body. The baking powder, baking soda is alkaline, highly alkaline. And when we incorporate that within our meal and we eat it, you're actually introducing at that time alkalinity within the stomach. So imagine that you use baking powder in flour to make a bake or a roti. And then you're looking for your protein, that you have your peas and your beans, and you add that to it. And you're going to be eating. When you ingest protein, essentially you need acid to break down your protein. And by doing so, your protein would be digested. And then the body can take up what it needs from that protein food. With baking powder, however, at that time, you have the pH remaining high. And so the stomach does not get to be acidic enough in order to digest your protein within your food. And when that happens, you also prevent the formation of what you call the intrinsic factor, because the protein isn't getting digested. So you prevent the formation of the intrinsic factor, which is utilized in your gut to make B12. So you can be running B12 deficiency simply because you have baking powder, baking soda within your meal. And so the digestion of the acids in our stomach is not only for digesting proteins. We need it to sort of kill off any bacteria, bugs, stuff that we may be eating. We need our hydrochloric acids to be at certain levels. So introducing baking powder is that you increase the pH. And let me explain. The kind of acidity that you need in your stomach for protein, for plant-based protein, pH would automatically come down. So we have pH acid balance within there, but when you have protein, your pH levels will come down, leaving the stomach acidic so it would come down to about 3.35, the pH level, and so your stomach is like so acidic. If you ingested any animal-based protein, such as the cheese, the butter, the eggs, or the flesh itself, your stomach needs to be even more acidic. So the pH level will drop to 1.35. By having baking powder, baking soda in that food item or around mealtime, so you could have it in your cake that you eat for dessert, and so it keeps the pH level high, and it does not get a chance to drop because here we have directly introduced. So apart from that, we're told that it is unnecessary for food and in the preparation of our meal, and it increases inflammation in the body. So those are some of the factors as to why we would not use it internally. And it's all a matter of custom. And like I tell folks, you put it in your bake to get a little yield of a rise, but then you're going to take that same bake and take a knife and cut it down even thinner. So why not just make a thin dough and cook that? And then you flap your bacon too, if you want that kind of thing. But I have like some Indian friends who have told me they've been to India and the folks there would cook their sada roti and so forth without putting baking powder in it. They don't know about putting baking powder in it, and it comes out soft and they're able to cut through and everything. You know, they actually made and shared that with the class that we were having. So it's all about our custom and what we grew up knowing as a means and way to cook. The other question about comfrey, yes, comfrey is grown locally. I know of someone who a couple of years ago, she brought it first when we were working in the Sandy Grande area. And it can be prepared, grown locally and used. And so you can take a whole comfrey leaf and just apply it, you know, to pass it over the fire a little bit, get a little heat, and then apply it to that area. Cabbage leaf is also another one that you could apply for that pain in the joint. Again, pass it over a little fire or pound the leaf and get the juice and the cells broken up a little bit. And then you put that over the knee and you wrap that with the plastic and you keep that overnight, and it's going to help to reduce that pain. Arthritis, again, stinging nettle leaf, that if you hit it on that and you get those stinging, that can help to relieve pain as well. And so the other question about making essential oils, yes, you can. There's a procedure to do it. One of the things is that you would need your plants, and there's a particular time for harvesting your plants. You want it when it is dry, on a dry day. It's not close to morning where the dew would have fallen. So you essentially want your leaves to be dried and not have water content in it. So the less water and more dry it is, that is a better time in the day to harvest it. So that works well even for making your oil. So if you just want to be able to gather your herbs and to hang them, let them self-dry. And then, so once it's dried properly, then you are able to put that within some oils. And it depends on the different kinds of herbs. You need to find out if it's the flower that you're utilizing, then there are times when you pick it just in the bud stage, so that you're able to get that medicinal value as well as the fragrance coming as well. So even like the peppermint, you want to dry that so that when you're finished, it's green. So you're not going to like take it and stick it in an oven. You want to just like to sun dry lightly, hang it over and dry. So there are a lot of little factors into it, but once you get the hang and you know what you're working with and what you're doing, and then you have to put that within the oil, and it's a lot to be able to get it in a concentrated form, that it soaks within there. So some people would have it like in a jar, a mason jar, and they would put it by a window and it gets the sun, and that helps to draw the properties out. Or it is that, you know, they would, most times it's from the sun that they're drawing it out, or if they put it like in some heater or something like that. But those things are possible, and it's a hobby for some, it's a living for some people, but it's really interesting and nice as a good way to preserve your herbs.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So some of the questions that are coming from the chat.
Oh, okay.
The first, what can we have, or I guess she's asking, what is there in our toolkit, in our medicine kit for hemorrhoids?
Okay. I would the olive oil would work nicely for the hemorrhoids, even in ingesting some that you get it, you know, some healing from the inside. And yeah, so give me a little second and I tell you about hemorrhoids. Any other question?
Yes. So
Yeah.
Sister Antoinette is asking, how do you purify your blood? And Sister Titrice is asking how to clear her 3-year-old son's lota that's on his face.
Right. Okay, so the blood purifiers are, we have some here, but by and large, my like golden seal, which is one that was just 2 slides down. Golden seal can help purify, but we more like to purify on a more long-term basis by using things like red clover. Burdock is another item that you can use to purify the blood. And when you purify the blood, we also want to purify the liver at the same time, because the blood is going to go through the liver and we need a clean liver and a healthy liver. So you use burdock that cleanses both blood and liver. Dandelion is another that would cleanse both blood and liver. Red clover lends itself to more being a blood cleanser. But by taking those teas, drinking them for at least 90 days, you know, and then you stop, which is like 3 months, and then you take a break, and that tends to be a mild way in cleansing your blood. Blood cells change, and after like 120 days, you can have like a totally new set of blood cells. So that's why, you know, utilizing them for a long period of time can be helpful in cleansing. So that I did consider to bring that one up, but it's not on the emergency list as we're looking at first aid, and that is one that I actually left alone to bring up in a forthcoming lecture when we're talking about the herbs. Lota, it's more of a sulfur issue. It is, you know, by having more foods from the cruciferous family, like the cabbage, those kinds of foods, like the cabbage, the kale, the cauliflower, the broccoli in the diet can help internally to utilize for the lota. In the pharmacies, you have the Moscow, so you can check there and be able to get help with that.
Okay. So thank you so much. So we have a few more questions.
Yeah.
What is good for sinus infection and congestion? Michelle is asking. And Olvet is asking, can soda be used then for ulcerated stomach problems?
Okay.
So sinus infections and congestion and ulcerated stomach problems, can the baking soda be used there?
All right. Just a second. I'm looking at the hemorrhoids golden seal.
Okay.
So apply golden seal as an anal antiseptic. So you can utilize it. I guess you can mix it with some water and just put it near the anus area, and I could see how that would help really well with that. Yeah. So golden seal, you would see it on your list of things, and I know like there are people who would get like sores on their mouth, and you can just take golden seal and spot it on, and it helps to heal up within a short space of time. So that I can see how that would help with the with the hemorrhoid area there. Again, having lots of fiber within the diet, and lecithin. Let me see, it says to dab some lecithin on the area as you would put Vaseline on. So if you know, like lecithin, you can find that within the supermarkets or Natural Delights, they have lecithin. And you mix it in a little water and it's sort of slimy. And if you were to put that around the area of the anus, then it helps with giving that soothing, as if you would put Vaseline around it. So it helps with soothing, but it also helps with healing as well. And then you look at the diet by not having spicy foods, you know, and using more B complex, so you get a more robust colon that could respond and be able to get stool out. Again, no forcing, and that's why keep a lot of water drinking and so forth. So quite a number of things that you can do to help.
Awesome.
The question about the sinus issues.
Yes.
So yeah, that is one that we have. You have that on your paper, on your sheet. When it comes to the sinuses, so you look at the oregano oil. So what we have here, and let's see. Okay, so we have the peppermint oil. So just where your sinuses, they're here and they're right under by the cheeks, and sometimes they could feel painful. So the steam inhaler can help tremendously with that, and we talked about that with the peppermint oil or eucalyptus, and some mixing like some olive oil and just 1 or 2 drops in it, not much, because peppermint tends to give this cool sensation if you're going to apply it to your skin. And then, or you can have some peppermint in water and you dip a rag and you wring it out, not too strong again, and then you just lightly, you know, put it on the skin, looking to soothe it, soothe that area. So peppermint among our list. And then charcoal is another that you can also drink charcoal to help clear up that sort of situation with the sinus. Even headache, sometimes you may have a headache and you can drink charcoal, because there are times when individuals have a headache because it's from something that they ate that disagree with them. And so drinking charcoal tends to get rid of it really fast within a few short minutes, if that's the cause. So the sinuses, again, it's an allergy, and we will want to address it from an allergic perspective. Changing up the diet, going on a total gluten-free diet, not using anything with wheat, flour. Those are things to eliminate, and we have like a gluten-free list. It's on my website. But it's not just gluten-free, it's allergen-free, inflammation-free list that you can have a look at, because for folks eating things like carrots, watermelon family, the melons and so forth, those things can trigger and cause that kind of reactions.
Okay.
There was another question?
Yes, there's a question on whether the baking soda can be used for ulcerated stomach problems.
No.
Okay.
No. It would give some soothe, but it's not the cure, and it's not going to help for long term. And it's something that you have to be cautious with. It will, because again, of the alkaline nature, and with the acid reflux, so if you put alkaline on that, then it's no longer acidic and it gives a quell. But on any given day, I'll say use charcoal, use the aloes, use the olive oil, but they are by far safer to use than the baking powder. I have read the story of a National Geographic reporter who it's sort of his grandmother did it, and he grew up knowing it. Just shake some baking powder in or soda in a glass with water and drink. One night he had his chest burning, again improper diet, eating late, and so his chest was burning him. And when he did that and he drank it, he immediately screamed out with pain, because when they finally dug into the whole story, he could not say how much he shook into the glass. And he apparently did too much because it perforated his stomach. That means it tore it apart. He had to have emergency surgery and 6 more surgeries after that to correct the situation. He tried to take the company to court, and Hammer, and he lost the case because he couldn't verify how much he took. And then they asked him, have you ever noticed on the box that there is a recommended dosage for use? You can't use lots of this thing. It scores, you take it and you clean your kettle. You clean your silverware with baking soda, baking powder, and it stays shiny for long. You can clean your sinks and they're white and everything. So what is it doing? No place for it in the stomach. And again, if we read the Bible, which we believe in the inspired writings, and I encourage you to look at Counsels in Diets and Foods, it does specifically look in the index, baking powder, baking soda. It's spoken of there as an item which we should not use for food. So, and not even in the situation for quelling a stomach. Let's get the stomach healed and use something that's more safe that we can,
Thank you for that. Sister Theodosia Marshall, Sister Marshall, I recognize your hand is up. It's just that I'm taking the questions that were listed just before yours. And so there were 2 persons that asked about what can be taken for high blood pressure. You also mentioned there's a question on what to treat pain from an old injury. I know you spoke about using a comfrey poultice. But there's also another question that says, I am confused. All health personnel usually project the need for the body being alkaline, and the stomach needs to be acidic. I think there was some confusion in terms of using the baking soda and what that does to the stomach. You spoke about that alkaline acidic balance. So 2 questions now: what to use for high blood pressure, and how do we address the need for the body being alkaline, given what you shared?
Okay, so for the high blood pressure, pressure is high. Everybody has pressure, but then we don't want it to be higher than it should, because we can cause some injury to our blood vessels and our heart, too much coming through. We need to address the underlying cause. But if on a given day you do check, and that's one of the other things to make sure that you have with your first aid kit. If you know you're diabetic, please get a glucose meter machine. Then if you do have high blood pressure, get a high blood pressure machine and check regularly. The thing is that we need to address the underlying cause. So deal with the high blood pressure. Let us work using natural means to get your pressure back down into normal range. Another thing is that you can use like garlic if it is really high, as well as for and garlic and onions. that you can utilize. And we have, like, you can actually take cloves of garlic, like 4 cloves of garlic, and this is something that you should use like every day, eating 4 cloves of garlic that's been heated. And you can take garlic and an onion, like a medium-sized onion, with some water, and you blend that in a blender. And if you start drinking that, it can help to bring your pressure down. Another thing which we haven't talked about today is using hydrotherapy and doing a hot foot bath. If you're not diabetic, you can do a hot foot bath and be able to bring the pressure down. So those are 2. Drinking teas like bay leaf is another that can help to normalize, to bring the pressure within normal range. And go to bed before 10. Sleeping through the night, going to bed before 10, getting adequate sunlight, because that sunlight helps to open up your blood vessels. It helps you to produce nitric oxide in your blood vessels and cause dilation. The blood is able to flow through better and you have less constriction. So there are quite a number. I will share my website with you. And we do have a YouTube channel, which we have the lecture there on high blood pressure, as well as on our website, we have the handout. Just let me get the cord to charge my machine. Okay. So the other question, there was one on the alkalinity.
Yes.
So if you go back to anatomy and physiology of the body, you would find that amazingly the Lord has created within our body system mechanisms to allow our body to be acidic when it needs to be acidic, and alkaline in areas where it needs to be alkaline. When we add, foods and the combinations and so forth, we could create a situation in our bodies that causes it to be more acidic, as well as we could ingest items, including water, alkaline water, that would cause our body to be more alkaline. And that disrupts the body's normal physiology and can cause problems. Looking at digestion, the stomach needs, you would have heard about hydrochloric acid. Hydrochloric acid takes anywhere like 30 minutes to 45 to 60 minutes to be formed. And the older you get, the longer hydrochloric acid takes to be formed. Hydrochloric acid is made within the stomach, inside of the stomach, not outside and brought in, because the outside environment cannot tolerate, it's too acidic. So when it's made within there, it has its work to do. And depending on the more proteins you have, it's going to be more hydrochloric acid that's needed. So it does its work. But amazingly, right there with the stomach, that's above, is acidic. But as it comes down to go to the food item, comes down to go to the small intestines, there's something in between called the duodenum. And the duodenum is alkaline. And the duodenum would only operate and continue to break down your carbohydrates and your fats now in an alkaline state. And it would not, the enzymes would not come forward from your pancreas and your liver to help with digesting food items in your duodenum if it were to be acidic. So it is alkaline, and your body actually produces bicarbonate to make it alkaline. So so that happens, the different parts in our body that is acidic, that is alkaline. And there's the blood has a pH of 7.2. And it needs to maintain that throughout. If that changes, go higher or lower, we can have issues. When we hear about people talking about high levels of acidity within the body, what are they doing to cause that imbalance? And I'll tell you, we can go from the food. By eating flesh foods makes our body highly acidic. We have, because it takes longer to be broken down in 3 days, it actually rots within the system. By the combination of our food items, we can cause the body to be more acidic. So if we have, that's why understanding proper diet combinations, even the health aspect. If you're not walking and your life is sedentary, you will be more acidic. You have your blood that's not circulating, that's not irrigating. And if you are in an environment that's closed up, your windows are closed, and you don't let the air come in, that room is going to lend itself to impure air that creates more acidity within the body. So there are lots of things that we do that we would need to correct. And the cure is not utilizing things like alkaline water, trying to get that balance back within the body. Address the true cause of the problem, and then we will be able to fare better. So that's one. I mean, I can go on into more examples and so forth, but basically understand that of a fact, within our body system, it has its, that pH levels to maintain. And we have, even our urine can come through being acidic or alkaline, depending on what we eat. But if it is coming through too acidic, you can get a burning sensation. But the kidneys also can pick up on what is happening here, and to try to recreate that balance again. It produces bicarbonate right down there before it's urinated out. Like our skin is acidic. And if your skin was to get too alkaline, you will get rashes and all kinds of stuff. All ports of entry, in fact, are acidic. Acidity will tend to fight off infections and so forth. A lady's vagina, another opening point, if it is not acidic enough, then it can have issues. That's why it needs to maintain a certain balance so that you don't get yeast infection. So there are so many parts of the body on the surface as well as on the inside that has to maintain those levels.
Wow. It's so important that we understand the physiology of this creation that God made. So we have several other questions. So the first, how do you deal with low iron levels in the blood? What can be done for thinning hair? How to treat acne? And what to take for dry skin? These are some of the concerns of our guests.
All right, so skin, hair, skin goes together. So most times with the hair and the skin, so thinning hair, dry skin, you'd need to get certain nutrients like biotin, MSM can also help with the hair and the skin. Pumpkin seed can also help with the hair and thickening the hair and growing the hair. So eating pumpkin seeds daily, like a handful of pumpkin seeds at least once a day, if not twice. Also, if you can get pumpkin seed oil, even if you have to get it on Amazon, and you put that in your hair and rub it into your scalp, it can help to spur hair growth. With the hair, you want to improve circulation, so you will use things like even the peppermint oil. So you can go and find some formulated hair oils that has peppermint in it. And we're in Trinidad, so Pennywise do have some. Carrot oil, again, because you're getting the vitamin E. So that's what you need for your hair and your skin. Vitamin C, vitamin A, vitamin E. That can be tremendous with having less of dry skin and more of the hair on your head. Vitamin D is also helpful for the skin. That's why you get out into the sunlight. If you do have vitamin D, you can put that on your skin as well. Mix it with E, get a vitamin E. You have the vitamin E capsule, so you can put that on areas of your skin that's troubled and dry. And that's also great for the hair, the scalp as well. So those kinds of things, vitamins A, C, E, as well as using items that sort of increases blood circulation to the hair, washing it regularly, massaging, and using those oils, pumpkin seed oil, vitamin A oil, and you can get that from the pumpkin seed, but also like the peppermint, the carrot, and so forth oils, and you massage that into the hair. The acne, again, acne is by hormonal imbalance. Some of the same vitamins. So there's so many conditions that connected to poor nutrition. So if you're not getting adequate amounts of E, then one day steam a carrot and just eat the entire carrot, you know, optimize your vitamin E. Within the week, look to see that you have these kinds of these kind of nutrients. So the acne, again, it's hormones being in imbalance. You can use like Vitex, V-I-T-E-X, as an item that helps to balance those hormones. Come off dairy, come off sugar, go to sleep. You know, there's beauty sleep, so it is real. So go to sleep early in the nighttime, not studying late into the night. It's better to get up early in the morning and you'll be able to do better. Drinking lots of water, getting the sunlight, all of those things help. Then the iron, how to increase iron within. So iron, we usually make that from our green vegetables. So eat, look for your green leafies to get, starting from callaloo bush, the dasheen bush. You can get that, but you must also have some vitamin C in it in your combination of your food at the same time or within your day in order to help with its absorption. So some folks like using limes on their food, on their salads to enable, or lemon. If you make like a lemon zest, you know, lemon with some honey, so it's tasty and a little salt, and you put that on your salad, it can help with the absorption of iron in that leafy lettuce that you're having. I'll also suggest that you can get like liquid chlorophyll. That gives you a good boost of green to help build up your iron levels and your blood count. Liquid chlorophyll, when taken at night, there's been research shown that when taken at night and you go to sleep, that you can wake up the next day with some increased supply of blood. So those are some of the things. Locally there, you could find like in some of the pharmacies or health shops, liquid iron Floridix, liquid iron formula. And that's also a good one that you can use that already has vitamin C in it. And that's Floridix liquid iron formula.
Wow.
On our website too, there's a blog. In the blog section, I have some blood boosters with combination of some leafy vegetables that you can make and drink to boost up your blood supply. At one time, we had a family in Jamaica whose daughter had dengue and her blood count was at 4. And they actually made these juices and took it to her in the hospital, where she drank, and she was able to get her blood supply back up and survive.
Okay, fantastic. So another group of questions. I have a neem tree. How do I use its leaves? Shiloh is asking, where do I get quality essential oils? And the Sister Marshall, she's asking about charcoal. Can it be used for eye allergies? And what about heating olive and peppermint oil for cold on the chest?
Okay.
So neem with its leaves, where to source quality essential oils, and can charcoal be used for eye allergies? And what about heating olive and peppermint oil for cold on the chest?
So a new tree. What kind of tree is this?
Neem tree.
Neem.
Yes.
So you have a neem tree.
Yes.
And what about the neem?
Right. She wants to know how to use its leaves in that question.
Okay. All right, I'll tell you about the neem in a little bit. The charcoal for eye allergies. Of course, you take water. In fact, it's in the same book, Selected Messages, Volume 2. Has a lot of suggestions about charcoal. And there Sister White actually talked about for an inflamed eye, weak eye. You can utilize charcoal and make like a charcoal compress, where you have the water and the charcoal, and you put the fabric, and then you put it, and it's so relaxing and cooling and helps with that eye and healing. So for allergies, every time in my family that anybody has an eye allergy thing, like recently my nephew, he was bathing. He spent like about 5 hours in water one day, and ducking in the water and playing, and so his eyes, we kept telling him his eyes, they're getting red, until he came inside and he saw how red they were. He got really scared, and I said, okay, come, you need to wash your eye with the charcoal. So he obediently followed the instructions, and he washed the eye with the charcoal, and the next morning rested, and the next morning they were clear. So it always helps. Sometimes you have cold in the corner of the eye, and the charcoal would help. Turmeric would also help. So the turmeric powder, and just like a little pinch in the water, and you wash your eye with it, and that helps as well. The heating olive oil and peppermint to put on the chest. I would say, because if you're going to rub, you want to see, you applying something warm can help, but it doesn't. If you can't get it warm, then that's okay. You warm up with fabric, you cover it and try to perspire is one of the goals here. So if you have that chest congestion and so forth, or the flu, increasing that body temperature and perspiring, fevers and so forth, perspiring can help to bring relief. And then the essential oils. How do you get quality essential oils? Yeah, you have to look in your health shops for quality essential oils. So we do have locally, you have like the Now brand, that can work, especially for external. But when it comes to ingesting, you have to look for more like the Star West brand, Star West Botanicals, and that can be helpful there. I have some, this is one from Uncle Harry's, and these are imported, but they're good well-crafted essential oils, and so those can be ingested. And this one is lavender, and then the oregano. So I'll have two of the oregano, one that can be ingested and one that can be used externally. Somebody talked about pain just now. Oregano is another one that I love to use for pain. Especially you have like aching muscles. Sometimes you turn too quickly and you pull a muscle, or you're doing some job that your muscles ache. So we always have oregano. So you always have charcoal in the home and always have oregano oil. Because what they do, it's that it tends to relax the muscle area and ease up with the pain. So you have, if you have any muscle or joints and so forth that that is painful, then you have, you can mix that with the oil and just massage the area, and it would always help. Now, don't use too much of the oregano oil on your skin, because some folks can have thin skin and it can irritate you and cause it to be itchy. But it's very strong. One time there was an old lady friend of mine. She was in her 90s, and she came to church one day. She would usually be home, but she visited church one day, and then we didn't see her again. She said when she went home that week, she got sick, and so in her joints could not walk. And when I visited her, it was like 3 months later, and she just couldn't move herself. And I did take to her some olive oil with oregano drops in it. I made it really strong, and she was able. The next day I called to check up on her and see whether she used the oil, because I know for us it helps with our little joint pains, or not joint, but muscle pains or whatever. And what I did read up and saw is that the oregano oil would get into the synovial fluid and help to clear up the inflammation in there. She used all the oil that I gave on her knees and was able to get up using her walker and walk after she couldn't do that for 3 months. And she was just so happy, just walking up and down in the house, in the yard. You know, it gives tremendous relief for that. So that's one that I would recommend, but also address the cause. So simple things. Okay, so so you would need to import your essential oils, or look at some health food stores and get them. And as we have coronavirus going around, I'll suggest to everybody to make sure and get your oregano oil now. Have your oregano oil, a good one that you could ingest, and have it in your home, because it's one of the key ingredients that we have used with individuals who have contracted coronavirus and have been able to survive and live. All our folks, by God's grace, using the protocol that we have shared with the folks, and oregano oil is key ingredient in it, that for them, they say it's like a night and day difference once they start to use the oregano oil. Okay, so
we have a few more to wrap up this session.
Yeah, just a quick one on neem. Neem can be used ingested as a tea. And so when you come to leaves, one of the rule of thumb with preparation, when it comes to leaves, leave the bud, the flower, the delicate parts of a plant, you would always throw water on it and draw it. You don't boil those. To get medicinal value, you cannot get the heat too high. for the hard parts of the plant, the stem, the root, the seed, the rhizome, turmeric, and so forth, hard bark, you have to boil those. So you bring the water to boil, you add, and even if it's in powdered form, like turmeric, it comes from a rhizome, but then it's in powdered form. You still boil it because you want the properties to be drawn. So you bring the water to a boil, then you add the ingredient, the part of the plant, hard part, and then you turn down the fire low and simmer for 15 minutes, not more. You turn that off and leave it covered to draw. So neem can be used internally for diabetes. So it helps to lower your blood sugar. So if you're using neem and you find that you feel sugar levels low, that's why. You can also use it as a hair rinse to strengthen your hair, to eliminate dandruff, as well as for constipation, bloating, cramping. It also helps to treat acne, cleaning up the blood as well. So neem, can have some great benefits. Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. I know this is a long session, but the questions are all here, and the participants, they're still with us, so that's excellent. Mm-hmm. So the questions are in this set: what to use for epilepsy? That's the first one. Can cypress oil be brought in Trinidad or bought in Trinidad? And there's another question on, okay, I think that's it. Right. Yes, there's another question on using cucumbers in drinking water or lemon on an empty stomach. And I think that wraps it up.
Okay. So empty stomach.
Yes.
With lemon.
Lemon water or cucumbers in drinking water. There's a question on where to source cypress oil and what to use for epilepsy.
Okay. All right, so epilepsy. Epilepsy, it has many causes. So one of the first thing is to find out what's causing, and sometimes that could be a bit unclear. Either it just happened, the person in growing up was fine and then they got it. What I've seen though is that it could be high levels of toxicity that can trigger it off. So people who are interacting with pesticides and they're inhaling that toxin, they're handling it, it can get into their body, and so that can trigger off. So every time you get the toxic level and the toxic load high, it can trigger off a reaction with the epilepsy. Then there are some nutritional deficiencies. So if you're low on vitamin D, vitamin A, magnesium, manganese, some of those, so getting a good multivitamin can help. Again, addressing good healthy gut flora, so utilizing probiotics can also help, making sure the person has some proper digestion. Going on a total plant-based diet, going organic as much as possible, or if you do buy your vegetables, wash them properly with some salt and water, or just soak them and scrub your ground provisions and that sort of thing. Try to keep. Another thing too is keeping calm. So using herbs like passion flower or valerian. Those are sedatives and could sort of keep individuals calm. There are some lifestyle habits such as no watching television, no loud noise, loud music. Those things tend to trigger epileptic reactions. So one, you're prone, but then you can have triggers. So the TV with that flickering light. So you sit down in front of the television, you may not see it, but if you are at a distance, say you stand out of your house and you look in and that television screen is on, you could see that flickering of the light. So that is as the scenes keep changing. And so with that, the brain picks up, and for some folks, that is a trigger. So we would say no watching TV, none of the loud music, and then exciting, stimulating activities and sports and so forth. We try to remove those to have a more simple lifestyle. And then, you know, make sure you have proper bowel movement, no constipation that will increase toxic load, and try to address it from that cause. As well as working along with your physician to determine exactly what is causing it, if there's something resting on a part of the brain that's triggering all this. But invest in proper nutrition and digestion, bowel movements, keeping the system clear, eating healthy, and some good health habits. Go to bed early, before 10 p.m. is our cutoff deadline time for going to sleep. And that should help. Keep hydrated at the same time. When it comes to an empty stomach and utilizing lemon or cucumber. So there are some folks who will have, you know, water bottles, and you have this infuser within, and they would have like fruit or cucumbers and so forth just floating around in there, or the lemons, and they're drinking on this all day. That is a drink. That is not water. Let's drink our water clean. And in fact, the best water that you could drink is rainwater, and we have lots of it now, so try and harvest some. But it is better that you have your plain water, and if you're having cucumber juice, that you have your cucumber juice and it's done. Once you start ingesting those kinds of things, you call your stomach to be dealing with the food properties that it is giving, the nutrient properties that's coming its way, and it's chemicals, it's picking it up, and the stomach has to do something with it. So you have your stomach in constant operation if you're drinking water with these items in it. The only thing that we drink in between our meals is like a herbal tea, like as we suggested earlier, the bay leaf for the high blood pressure. Those teas you want to drink mouthfuls at a time so that your body would absorb it and it can work in the system. So when we talk about drinking 4 cups of tea, it's not that you take 1 cup, 2 cups, you know, you drink it through the time, and then you still have time in the day to drink your plain water. First thing in the morning for having lemon, for some people, they may get some burning issues with their stomach, and they are not able to tolerate lemon, especially if you have gastritis or you have indigestion going on, something where you have a weak stomach or an irritated stomach. So by utilizing the lemon first thing in the morning can cause irritation. For some other people, it may not, and so they can use it. One of the things we suggest is that you have water, that's warm water, first thing in the morning. You take that warm water in, or if you're not doing warm, just simple room temperature water, and you aim for 2 to 4 glasses of it. And that you drink as a bolus quickly. You help to flush and cleanse the system. Your lymphatic system is clearing out through the night. Your blood is cleaning up. We talk about purifying your blood, and water is the best liquid for cleansing the body, water. So by drinking that, it helps to flush. You will be running to the bathroom to eliminate on both sides, and that's excellent. And thank the Lord that you could do that. By having lemon in one of those glasses of water in the morning can be helpful for sort of helping cleanse the liver. Lemon and liver are like good friends, or lemon helps to cleanse the liver. It also helps to stimulate your colon. So causing the movements of the colon, and that's why people would get bowel movement early morning once they have lemon in that water. So by doing that, one of the things cautioned with using lemon is that you should always use a straw when you're drinking that lemon to protect the enamel of your teeth. If you don't do that, it would cause your teeth to wear away, cause it to be sensitive in a short space of time, and it can also cause it to rot from the inside out. So whenever using an ingesting lemon, make sure that you use a straw, or you go and brush your teeth afterward. So if you squeeze the lemon on your food, okay, fine, but go and brush your teeth, make sure and brush your teeth after that to get that acid off from your teeth. So lemon is another thing that we may think is acid, but once ingested, it's more of an alkaline nature, but it's all of a natural way in which the body can deal with it. And I hope that answered that question.
Yes.
And then for cypress oil, it's not one that I've looked for to say that I've seen it, but you can check like Nature's Discount in, they have a branch in Grand Bazaar as well as LSD Plaza in Marval, Port of Spain. And they may have cypress oil, that's Nature's with apostrophe S Discount. And they would be able to see if they have. If not, you'll need to buy it on Amazon and bring it in.
Okay, and we have one more question, which I hope is our last, because I'm hearing the fatigue in our presenter's voice. How much salt to add to water to purify vegetables? How much salt to add to water to purify vegetables?
Yeah. So what you can do is like to, plug your sink and then you fill it with some water to cover the vegetables. Then you can add like half a teaspoon to it and let it soak there for like 3 to 5 minutes. But then you physically take your hand, you wash, and now you let that water out and you pour the fresh water, running water over, and you work through washing that out. So that's one way in which you can do it.
Okay, fantastic. So I would like to especially thank you, Sister Natalie Nash, for blessing us with your presence, with this vital information for such a time as this. There are many responses in the chat. Excellent presentation. May God continue to bless you and this ministry. Thanks very much for the information. This program was very informative and it continues. So we are all grateful. The Laventille SDA Church Skills Camp is ecstatic that you're available to join us to share on the natural remedies first aid kit. And we will definitely continue the conversation as to when we can get you on to speak to the medicinal plants in more detail, addressing particular conditions. And so we are very thankful. And just to share with you, friends, that the very next skills camp is scheduled for August the 9th at 5 p.m., where we'll be speaking to the issue of managing your finances in a post-COVID world, strategies and tips. Managing your finances in a post-COVID world, strategies and tips. So as we wrap up for this evening.
Yeah, there's just one announcement, please.
Yes,
okay.
Please.
So, yeah, I just posted within the chat
yes.
the website. So it's www.nhtlh.com. I did have it earlier, but didn't bring it up in the presentation. So www.nhtlh.com. And if you go there, you would be able to get some more information. We do have our YouTube channel that is Natural Healing Through the Laws of Health. And that on our YouTube channel, we have where you can hear some more presentations. We also have, for those who might be interested in becoming a medical missionary, that we do have a training coming up on August 14th to the 30th. It is done online on Zoom. And if you go to the website, you would see the details there where you can sign up to do this training. In fact, if you thought you didn't have the finances before, here's an opportunity for you to do it by making a donation to start and to get into the program. So if you go to there and sign up to do the program, and by God's grace, you'll be able to hear more of this and learn of it for yourself, where you would be able to share and be a part of the great work that is yet to be done. So that's just two heads up. You know, 1, go to the website; 2, visit the YouTube channel; 3, try and avail yourself to join this training program that is coming up. May God richly bless you. So it's in the daytime, but the sessions would be recorded, and then you have the weekends where you can still catch up with us on the Sabbath and Sunday classes.
Okay, Sister Natalie, could you just repeat the date for the training, please?
August 14th to 30th.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, great. So we will definitely send reminders to our guests on about this training opportunity, and you will find in your yes, that's okay. You'll find in your email, friends, the gift that we had planned for you. So if there's anyone that didn't submit your email just yet, now is the best time to do that. May God bless you. And let's pray as we close. Oh, Miss Marshall has a question. She's asking about the event on August the 19th. What is the name of the YouTube channel, please?
Yeah, so I'm writing it in, if you see my screen, I'm trying to write it here. Are you seeing my screen?
Yes.
Yeah. So this is the website, nhtlh.com. And this is the YouTube channel, the full name, Natural Healing Through the Laws of Health. And there you're able to see it. But if you go to the website, there's a link. You'll see YouTube, and you just click on the link, and it will take you straight to the channel.
Okay, so let's just bow our heads for prayer. Yeah. Thank you, Lord, for all that you allowed us to learn this afternoon. And we ask you for the faith and your grace to apply it to our lives. Help us to be persistent, Lord, so that we can ultimately give you the glory, because we experience improved health. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Have a wonderful evening, everyone. God bless you.